Let's begin this hour, though, with President Biden's visit to Poland after yesterday's historic trip to Ukraine. Later today, Mr. Biden will make a speech to mark a year since the Russian invasion of that country. He spoke during a bilateral meeting with the Polish president earlier this morning about NATO and the United States' commitment to Ukraine.
I made it clear that the comments of the United States and our allies as part of the commitment is real, and that a year later, I would argue NATO is stronger than it's ever been. As I told President Zelensky when we spoke in Kyiv yesterday, I can proudly say that our support for Ukraine remains unwavering. And as I told our Russian counterpart, not it's a while now, I said, you're seeking the Finlandization of NATO. You're going to get the NATOization of Finland.
Nancy Cordes is covering the president's trip in Warsaw, Poland, and joins us now. Nancy, good morning.
Good morning, Vlad and Anne-Marie. Final preparations for the speech here at Warsaw's Royal Castle are underway, and we're sort of getting this split-screen, dueling speeches from both President Putin in Russia and President Biden here today within hours of each other. White House officials tell us there was not an intention to go head-to-head with Putin, but President Biden will make the case here in Warsaw that nearly 1 year into the war in Ukraine, Russia has not prevailed and that democracies around the world are getting stronger, a case he made in Ukraine yesterday. The president landed in Warsaw late last night, the end of a day-and-a-half-long journey that took him from Joint Base Andrews outside D.C. before dawn on Sunday to the Poland-Ukraine border by plane, and then on a 10-hour journey by train to Kyiv. The risky trip to Ukraine, months in the making, was shrouded in secrecy. The two journalists allowed on board were only informed on Friday and told to look out for email instructions with the subject line, "Arrival instructions for the golf tourney." It's almost unheard of for an American president to visit a war zone without U.S. troops on the ground. He arrived delivering more than just a morale boost. He pledged another $450 million worth of military aid, including artillery ammunition, Javelin anti-armor missiles, and surveillance radar systems.
Freedom is priceless. It's worth fighting for as long as it takes.
Today, President Biden sits down with Poland's president. His top Europe advisor, Amanda Sloat, says there's a reason Mr. Biden has come to Poland twice in 1 year.
They're obviously the main hub for the security and humanitarian assistance that we have going through Poland to get to Ukraine.
The last time President Biden was here in March of 2022, he stunned the world by suggesting Vladimir Putin should be removed from power.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
It was an unscripted moment, and the White House quickly insisted he was not advocating for regime change. 11 months later, Putin is still in power. The president's trip to Ukraine and his speech later on here in Warsaw are meant to send a signal to Russia that the West's resolve to support Ukraine has not weakened, even though the costs of supporting Ukraine have mounted. In fact, President Biden is speaking with the Polish president today about the prospect of increasing the number of NATO forces on the ground here in Poland near the border with Russia. Vlad, Anne-Marie?
So then, Nancy, what can we expect to hear from the president today, especially given the news that we heard from the Russians this morning regarding the nuclear treaties that the United States and Russia have in the past shared?
Right. So we don't know if President Biden is going to address the START treaty in the speech. But what we have been hearing from White House officials and from the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, is that they think it's deeply irresponsible for President Putin to suggest that he's going to step away from this nuclear arms reduction treaty known as the START treaty. They say they're looking into how serious he is about this, but they make the case that even before now, he really wasn't living up to the letter of the treaty to begin with. But Still, they argue it's another example of Russia not hewing to the expectations of the world order. And President Biden, in this speech, which, by the way, you can see because they've just sort of unveiled and they're still putting together the walkway leading up to the podium, which is, of course, blue and yellow, Ukraine's colors. I see people here in the crowd who've gathered already with Ukrainian flags and Polish flags and American flags. The case that the president is going to make is, yes, it's about Russia and Ukraine, but more broadly, it's about democracy versus autocracy, which is a theme that he likes to return to again and again. And he's going to argue that time and again, democracy comes out on top. He's going to say that's the reason that the Ukrainians are still holding firm 1 year on, long after the Russians said they would be marching into Kyiv. And he's going to make the case that that is the reason that it is so important for countries like the U.S. and Poland and other European nations to stand by Ukraine, because it's not just about a fight between the Ukrainians and the Russians. It's a fight between democracy and autocracy.
So Nancy, it's, I suppose, no surprise that the president is making this trip with the awareness that Friday will be 1 year since this war began. But was the timing also meant to coincide with Vladimir Putin's pretty defiant speech today?
White House officials say no. In fact, it was Putin, they argue, who moved up his speech, perhaps so that he could get his point of view across before the president did here in Poland. They're not shying away from a rhetorical confrontation with Russia, but they say it was never their intention that these two speeches would take place back to back the way that they are. But it certainly is going to provide a very stark contrast between Putin, who somehow claimed today that it was the West that started the war and is prolonging the war, rather than Russia. What you may hear from President Biden today, according to White House officials, is that there's a very simple way to test that proposition. And that is that if Russia were to pull its troops out now and go back to Russia, the war would be over. Whereas if the West were to stop helping the Ukrainians and the Ukrainians were to stop fighting, then the Russians would indeed march all the way to Kyiv and Ukraine would cease to exist.
Nancy Cordes, thank you.
You're welcome.